The morning fog clung thick over the Richmond shipyards. Steam hissed from boilers' ropes, creaked under tension, and the scent of salt water mixed with oil and smoke. A massive hull rested on the slipway, poised to slide into the waiting bay. Hundreds of workers lined the docks, eyes sharp, hands taut on cables. Every movement precise, rehearsed almost ritualistic. News had already crossed oceans. German intelligence reports reached Berlin with disbelief. A Liberty ship launched every 3 days. 3 days from raw steel to seaworthy vessel. A feat that seemed impossible, defying both calculation and imagination. Axis commanders whispered among themselves. How could a single city produce such an arsenal? Engineers and foremen moved among the workers, clipboards in hand, checking alignments, verifying measurements. Riveters hammered rhythmically, inspectors scrutinized every seam. The hull began its slow glide, water lapping against its bow, a testament to coordination. The workers' sweat, the hiss of machinery, and the spray of water combined into a symphony of industrial power. Letters and diaries from the era captured the human side. One foreman wrote, "We watched her float and felt that our hands had carved history. Every bolt, every rivet, every cable pulled was a strike against tyranny. We moved as one, and the city itself became a weapon." Such words blurred the line between fact and legend. The story of Richmond's relentless pace spread inspiring awe both at home and abroad. Even the machinery seemed alive. Cranes moved with careful grace, winches hummed, and steam engines hissed in perfect synchrony with human labor. The sight was surreal, the dock workers' machines and ships operating as one organism. Axis spies would later describe these reports as beyond comprehension, attributing the efficiency to American ingenuity or something almost supernatural. By mid-morning, the ship was afloat. The spray of water shimmered in the fog. The workers stepped back exhausted, yet triumphant. Another hull would follow in 3 days. And then another. The relentless rhythm of production promised a fleet that would overwhelm enemy calculations. Each ship a product of sweat skill and unyielding coordination. The story traveled fast. Whispers among Allied personnel painted Detroit and Richmond as industrial fortresses. Every ship launched, every hull completed, became both a tactical asset and a symbol. The Axis could only watch and adjust, their disbelief growing with each report. Richmond had become more than a shipyard. It was an emblem of industrial warfare, a city that turned human effort into a weapon of unprecedented scale. Even as the first ship settled into the bay, the fog lifted slightly. Sun glinted off steel water lapped gently against the hull, and the echo of rivets, pulleys, and human endeavor lingered. It was a rhythm, a heartbeat, a testament. And the world was watching, marveling, and for some trembling. Richmond, California in 1943 had become a hive of relentless activity. The shipyards stretched along the bay, massive steel structures rising above the water like industrial fortresses. The slipways were long polished with constant use, ready to receive raw hulls that would soon become Liberty ships. Cranes loomed overhead, scaffolds crisscrossed the construction zones, and every surface bore the marks of ceaseless labor. The workforce was extraordinary in both scale and diversity. Men from local industries, veterans returning from other assignments, and women entering industrial roles for the first time, each trained quickly to meet the pressing demands of war. Supervisors moved among the lines, clipboards in hand, coordinating teams of riveters, welders, electricians, and painters. Every movement precise, every action measured. The rhythm of the yard resembled a living organism. Logistics dictated every decision. Steel arrived by rail engines and propellers shipped from nearby factories' electrical systems, coordinated with mechanical assemblies. Even minor delays could cascade, threatening production schedules. Managers and engineers constantly recalculated priorities, adjusting manpower, material flow, and machinery operation to maintain the rhythm. Every Liberty ship had to be ready on time. Every delay meant potential consequences thousands of miles away on the front lines. The climate and geography added further complexity. The fog and cool Pacific mornings limited visibility, while the sun and heat of midday tested stamina. Tides affected slipway operations, water levels dictating timing and alignment. Cranes had to be positioned with exact precision, scaffolds secured, and workers coordinated with the movement of the hull. The city's industrial infrastructure, combined with its natural harbor, created both opportunity and challenge. The human element defined the yard's success. Veteran engineers trained newcomers in record time, passing knowledge of rivet placement, welding techniques, and quality inspection. Teamwork was essential. A single misstep could compromise both safety and output. Personal diaries captured the strain and triumph. We worked until hands were raw and eyes burned. Yet when the hull slid into the bay, it felt like we were part of something monumental, something that could turn the tide of the war. Coordination extended across departments. Painters, electricians, and fitters synchronized their work with hull preparation, engine installation, and rigging. Military liaisons oversaw that specifications matched operational requirements, adjusting schedules and priorities on the fly. The yard functioned as a complex system of interlocking tasks, human skill, and mechanical precision. Even amidst machinery and metal, morale and culture mattered. Songs, cheers, and shared moments of triumph bolstered spirits. Stories of previous launches of ships sliding into the water without incident circulated among crews. These small rituals reinforced unity, focus, and the sense of purpose that made the relentless pace sustainable. By the mid-1943 peak, Richmond's shipyards had become an industrial marvel. Every day brought the assembly of hulls, the careful placement of engines, the installation of electrical systems, and the final inspections. The pace was staggering. A Liberty ship launched every 3 days. The Axis could scarcely fathom it. Yet the men and women on the docks executed their tasks with precision born of necessity, pride, and determination. The context of Richmond illustrates a blend of human, mechanical, and environmental factors. The city's geography, industrial infrastructure, workforce, logistics network, and strategic oversight combined to produce a system capable of unprecedented output. It was more than a shipyard. It was a living engine of war, a testament to coordination, ingenuity, and relentless human effort. The scale of production at Richmond shipyards was staggering. Records indicate that by late 1943, a Liberty ship was launched every 3 days. Hulls of steel over 400 feet long moved from the assembly halls to the slipways with meticulous precision. Cranes, pulleys, and winches coordinated every movement, ensuring alignment and stability as the vessels prepared to enter the water. Each launch required hundreds of workers, each performing precise tasks under constant supervision. Inside the yard, the workflow resembled a well-drilled orchestra. Teams of welders joined steel plates, riveters hammered seams with consistent rhythm, and inspectors verified every connection. Electricians and pipe fitters moved alongside them, installing systems that would keep engines running and crews alive in battle. Minor errors were corrected immediately. Quality was non-negotiable, for even a single flaw could jeopardize a mission thousands of miles away. The human effort was immense. More than 30,000 men and women worked across shifts, often in grueling conditions. Diaries from the era recount blistered hands, aching backs, and exhaustion. Yet the morale remained remarkably high. Workers were inspired by the knowledge that each ship could carry troop supplies or equipment that would influence battles in Europe and the Pacific. One foreman wrote, "Every rivet we drive, every bolt we secure carries hope across the ocean. We are building not just ships, but the future of the war." Supply chains were critical. Steel engines, propellers, electrical systems, and paint had to arrive on schedule. Trains, trucks, and barges moved components efficiently. Engineers and logistics officers constantly recalculated priorities to keep the assembly lines flowing. Even minor delays could ripple across multiple lines, so coordination was continuous and exacting. The process of hatching a ship onto water was a culmination of this precision. The hull would be slowly guided down the slipway ropes taut in the hands of dock workers, winches controlling the descent. As the keel touched the water, steam and spray erupted, reflecting the labor and coordination required. Photographs captured these moments, workers braced against tensioned ropes, cranes silhouetted against the rising sun, water spraying like a frozen arc of steel and mist. The sheer numbers were incredible. In just months, dozens of ships were completed, surpassing initial projections. German intelligence intercepted reports of output rates that seemed impossible, noting that Richmond's pace outstripped calculations and forecasts. The reports described a production rhythm so relentless that it defied comprehension, feeding both fear and awe among Axis commanders. Even small innovations played a vital role. Mechanized lifts, standardized parts, and assembly jigs reduced manual labor and increased speed. Engineers adapted processes on the fly, streamlining installation and testing procedures. Each improvement amplified output and minimized the risk of error. The synergy between human skill and mechanical ingenuity was the backbone of the yard's success. By the end of 1943, Richmond's fact layer was undeniable. Hundreds of Liberty ships completed, each one meticulously crafted, each launch an orchestrated event of precision and coordination. Axis planners reading intercepted telegrams and intelligence summaries struggled to grasp the scale. The combination of human effort, mechanical engineering, and logistical oversight had created an industrial marvel that was reshaping naval warfare. Whispers spread rapidly along the Richmond docks. Tales of near-miraculous production became common among workers and visiting officials. Some claimed that the Liberty ships seemed to appear almost overnight, as if the city itself had learned to breathe steel and timber. One veteran recalled, "It felt as though the hulls were alive, sliding into the water with a mind of their own. And we were simply the hands guiding them." Stories grew in both scope and intensity. Letters from soldiers at sea described arriving ships in numbers that seemed impossible, fleets appearing faster than units could deploy them. German and Japanese intelligence reports only amplified the legend. Spies wrote of a machine city, a place where industrial output seemed divorced from human limits. Disbelief and awe intertwined in every dispatch. Within the shipyard, folklore shaped morale. Workers shared stories of cranes that moved with uncanny precision, pulleys that never jammed, and assembly teams operating in perfect synchrony. Some even whispered of ghost cruise teams that appeared and disappeared along the slipways, moving rivets and engines in a rhythm so precise it seemed supernatural. These tales inspired both pride and wonder, reinforcing focus amidst fatigue. The Axis reaction became part of the lore. Reports filtered back to Berlin and Tokyo describing relentless output, hundreds of ships ready within weeks, assembly lines running continuously. Some planners attributed the pace to extraordinary discipline, others to unseen forces, to American ingenuity, elevated almost to myth. Axis commanders reportedly recalculated strategy, unsettled by the sheer velocity and consistency of production. Even minor incidents became legend. A crane operator maneuvered a hull with seemingly impossible grace, avoiding collision while guiding it down the slipway. A riveter completed a wing installation in record time, and stories of her speed and skill circulated like folklore. These small moments, repeated among crews, contributed to a sense of inevitability Richmond would deliver come what may. By late 1943, the blend of fact and folklore had solidified. 300,000 aircraft and dozens of Liberty ships, backed by meticulous records, coexisted with stories of near-miraculous feats, supernatural coordination, and unwavering dedication. Richmond was more than a shipyard. It had become a symbol, a living legend, embodying the fusion of human skill, machinery, and the inexorable rhythm of industrial warfare. Even decades later, veterans recalled the awe and disbelief. The line between reality and legend blurred. The image of ships sliding into the water every 3 days, guided by skilled hands under the foggy morning sun, became etched in memory, a testament to both the power of industrial organization and the enduring human stories that accompanied every launch. The true marvel of Richmond's shipyards lay not only in the speed of production, but in the intricate system that coordinated every action across the docks. Slipways, cranes, scaffolding, and machinery all worked in concert, each component synchronized to support the relentless rhythm of launches. Teams of workers, engineers, and supervisors operated like a single organism, their motions precise, almost rehearsed, each aware that a single misstep could disrupt the entire operation. Communication and coordination were constant. Foremen relayed instructions via hand signals, whistles, and radios. Supply officers tracked every rivet, every plate, every engine part, ensuring that materials arrived exactly when needed. Slack in the supply chain could halt the line delay, a launch, or compromise quality. Engineers continually adapted, redirecting resources, adjusting schedules, and optimizing workflow to maintain the unprecedented pace. The human element was essential to the system. Shifts rotated strategically to prevent fatigue. Teams trained together to ensure perfect synchronization, and supervisors constantly monitored efficiency. Every worker, from riveter to crane operator, understood their role in a larger network. Even minor innovations, a new jig mechanized lift or improved pulley system, could dramatically enhance speed and reduce error. The integration of human skill with mechanical precision made the yard a marvel of industrial coordination. Logistics extended beyond the shipyard. Completed vessels had to be launched, outfitted, and prepared for deployment overseas. Transportation networks, warehouses, and staging areas operated in precise harmony with the dockside workflow. Military liaisons ensured that operational priorities were met, adjusting production and launch schedules in real time. The result was a seamless chain from raw materials to fully operational Liberty ships ready to reshape the naval battles far from California. Even the layout of the docks contributed to the system's success. Slipways aligned to water depth scaffolding positioned to allow maximum access to hulls, cranes placed for optimal reach. The physical environment enhanced human coordination, enabling workers to move efficiently while controlling the immense mass of the vessels. It was an industrial choreography, with every footstep, pulley, and rivet part of a carefully orchestrated plan. The psychological component reinforced the system. Stories of flawless launches of ships sliding into the bay without mishap inspired pride and diligence. The legend of Richmond's pace became a motivating factor, pushing workers to match the standard of near-miraculous efficiency. Morale focus and ritualized practices blended with mechanical and logistical coordination to sustain the relentless tempo. By mid-1943, the system had proven nearly flawless. Every launch followed a predictable yet awe-inspiring rhythm, every component of the process optimized for maximum efficiency. Workers moved as one, machines responded without fail, and the Liberty ships flowed steadily into the water. Richmond had become a living engine, a city where human labor, technological innovation, and logistical precision converged to create a force that confounded Axis intelligence. The orchestration was remarkable. From the arrival of raw steel to the placement of final engines, from rivet to launch, every step was synchronized. Mistakes were swiftly corrected, improvements rapidly implemented. Richmond's industrial system turned extraordinary human effort into a continuous and unstoppable output, ensuring that the United States could maintain its edge at sea one ship at a time. By mid-1943, Richmond's shipyards had reached a rhythm that bordered on miraculous. Hulls of Liberty ships lined the slipways, each one massive, steel-clad, and ready for the water. The docks thrummed with the orchestrated chaos of hundreds of workers' cranes swinging in unison, pulleys straining under tension, rivets hammered in steady cadence, engines tested and calibrated, and inspectors scrutinized every seam. each launch a choreography of human skill and mechanical precision. News of the pace traveled across oceans. Axis intelligence reports described Liberty ships appearing faster than they could destroy them. A launch every 3 days. A fleet emerging from a single city with efficiency that seemed impossible. German commanders questioned their calculations, recalculated their strategies, and yet the output never wavered. Disbelief mingled with fear as the reports underscored the relentless momentum of American industrial power. On the day of a launch, the tension reached its peak. Workers braced along the docks, ropes taut, pulleys checked, cranes positioned. The hull began its slow glide, water lapping at the keel spray, rising high as the massive ship met the bay. Cheers erupted from crews as the vessel touched the water smoothly, its descent flawless. Foremen noted the timing to the second, ensuring the next ship would follow the same unerring rhythm. Individual heroism punctuated the systemic precision. Crane operators maneuvered massive steel hulls with surgical accuracy, riveters completed wings and deck sections ahead of schedule, and electricians coordinated engine installations amidst the roar of machinery. Each action, though small alone, contributed to the overwhelming impact of the entire industrial machine. The synergy of human skill and technological innovation reached its apex in these moments. The psychological effect extended beyond the yard. Axis commanders receiving photos and intelligence reports could scarcely comprehend the scale. Fleets of ships appeared to emerge from Richmond like a force of nature. Every report reinforced the legend of a city producing warships faster than the enemy could anticipate. The Axis feared not only the ships themselves, but the industrial power and organization behind them. By late 1943, the climax of Richmond's shipbuilding effort was undeniable. Launches continued without pause, the pace maintained by careful orchestration and relentless human effort. Each ship sent downstream carried the weight of strategy, morale, and the unwavering determination of a workforce that understood the stakes. The industrial crescendo of the yard became a decisive factor in Allied naval power. Every rivet, every pulley, every launch contributed to this crescendo. Richmond had become both battlefield and arsenal, a theater where human coordination, technological ingenuity, and strategic planning converged. The Axis could only watch in disbelief as a single city transformed into an unstoppable machine, delivering ships at a rate that redefined the possibilities of industrial warfare. As the morning mist cleared from Richmond's shipyards, the sheer scale of achievement became visible. Rows of Liberty ships bobbed gently in the water, their hulls gleaming under the sun. Cranes stood poised, scaffolding loomed overhead, and workers moved among the vessels, ensuring each was seaworthy and ready for deployment. The docks, now quiet, after the crescendo of launches, bore the marks of relentless labor, sweat, and coordination. Workers felt a mixture of exhaustion and pride. Blistered hands, aching backs, and long shifts could not diminish the knowledge that each ship leaving the yard would carry troop supplies and hope across oceans. Diaries and letters captured the emotional weight. Every ship we launch carries not just cargo, but the spirit of those who built it. We see the future in steel and rivets. The human contribution remained central to every achievement. The strategic impact was immediate and undeniable. Fleets of Liberty ships reached ports across the Atlantic and Pacific faster than enemy planners anticipated. Supply lines were strengthened, reinforcements moved efficiently, and Allied operations gained a decisive advantage. Axis intelligence struggled to reconcile the sheer number of vessels with their calculations. Reports described disbelief and panic. Richmond had become a symbol of unstoppable industrial might. Logistics and coordination extended far beyond the shipyard. Transportation networks ensured engines, armaments, and provisions were ready for deployment. Warehouses stored critical components, and military liaisons adjusted priorities in real time. The system that produced the ships now ensured their effective delivery to war zones. Richmond's industrial operation was a complete cycle from raw steel to operational warship, leaving an indelible mark on the outcome of the conflict. Even the physical landscape bore witness. Slipways, cranes, and scaffolds stood like monuments. The docks echoed with the rhythm of labor long past. Photographs captured moments of triumph, of workers bracing against tensioned ropes, of hulls sliding into the water flawlessly. These images became part of the folklore, inspiring awe for generations to come. The Axis reaction remained one of astonishment. German and Japanese commanders could scarcely believe the pace of production, the flawless quality, and the relentless consistency. Every report reinforced the mythic reputation of Richmond, a city producing ships at a rate that seemed almost supernatural. Strategic calculations were forced to account not only for the ships themselves, but for the unyielding human and industrial machine behind them. By the end of 1943, the aftermath of Richmond's efforts was clear. Production lines continued to roll, morale remained high, and the impact on Allied operations was profound. The Liberty ships were more than vessels. They were symbols of human ingenuity, coordination, and resolve. The echoes of hammering rivets and steam lingered in memory, a testament to a workforce that had turned industry into a decisive weapon. Even years later, veterans and historians would recall the achievement. Richmond's contribution to the war effort transcended numbers, blending human perseverance with technological mastery, leaving an enduring legacy. Every ship launched was a narrative of resilience, ingenuity, and the relentless rhythm of industrial power shaping the course of World War II. The docks of Richmond fell silent as the last Liberty ship settled into the bay. The water shimmered, reflecting steel hulls and fading sunlight. Cranes and scaffolds stood like silent sentinels, witnesses to relentless labor, unyielding coordination, and human determination. The rhythm of the yard had paused, but its echo lingered. In the spray in the rivets, in every footprint along the planks, workers stepped back exhausted yet proud. Hands raw, bodies aching, yet hearts steady with accomplishment. Every ship carried not just cargo, but a story. A testament to ingenuity, perseverance, and the quiet heroism of thousands of men and women. Each hull was a symbol, a piece of history that would sail into distant oceans, altering battles and shaping outcomes. Across the seas, Axis commanders could only stare in disbelief. The pace of Richmond was beyond their calculations. A ship launched every 3 days, flawlessly, relentlessly. The legend had taken form, fact and folklore intertwined, feeding awe, fear, and fascination. Richmond had become a living myth of industrial might. Even as the sun dipped lower, the city seemed to remember. Scaffolds, cranes, and slipways, etched in memory, echoing the pulse of thousands of hands, moving in perfect harmony. Tales of miraculous coordination, of near supernatural efficiency spread among workers and historians alike, keeping the story alive for generations. And yet a question lingers. How many acts of skill, ingenuity, and courage went unrecorded, hidden in the rhythm of rivets and steel? How many moments shaped history, silently waiting to be remembered, waiting to inspire the next generation? You have just witnessed another chapter of World War II's hidden chronicles. The story of relentless industrial power, human skill and unwavering resolve that stunned Axis commanders and reshaped naval warfare. If you want to uncover more untold stories of courage, innovation, and human determination, subscribe, follow, and witness history as it unfolds. The echoes of Richmond's shipyards, its people and their machines remain alive. The slips are quiet, the water calm, but memory endures. Richmond's legacy, its unstoppable pace, and the human will behind every Liberty ship remain etched in time, always waiting for the next telling.